encapsulated in the red warning box behind me on the screen. Forrest, could we go to double boxes perhaps? And that red warning area, those are going to be the regions that you need to take cover in immediately, get away from windows and doors. We are going to see this warning in effect through 8 a.m. So we have about 30 minutes in this warning. We'll see if they decide to keep it in effect here. So it does look like on reflectivity, we have a very heavy rain signature right now. And then when I pull up our velocity imagery, which is a wind speed direction measurement, that's when we can get a better idea of what specifically the National Weather Service is seeing with this storm. So again, right now you're looking at reflectivity. So that's a measure of how big the rainfall droplets are and exactly the amount that they're getting back in terms of radar. And we are, in terms of velocity, okay, yeah, seeing like a little bit of a couplet. Generally, when we're looking at this, we're looking at where red is meeting green because that is indicative of circulating air. So what you're looking at is on velocity, green and red. So wind going towards and away from the radar site. And when those two are right next to each other, that indicates that there is a very close coupling or an immediate circulation, because it has to move from one direction to another quite quickly, and the only way that that would generally happen is with a any type of circulation. So this is currently radar indicated, so meaning that no one has visually confirmed it, and that means that, you know, that's not a recommendation to go and visually confirm it outside, but you should stay away from those windows and doors right now if you are in this red warning box. So that does not include Stewart, but it includes Port St. Lucie. This area is just to the east of Beeline, and it is over 95, that Big Bend area in Martin County, and then it also just stops to the west of US 1 in Martin in St. Lucie County. So again, does not include Stewart, but does include Port St. Lucie. This is your time to take cover. Bring your phone with you so that you can have that way to receive alerts if this does get extended or canceled. Again, tornado warning in effect for northern Martin County, southern St. Lucie County, Turnpike, including that 95 corridor stretching from central Martin County up towards central St. Lucie County. So let's throw a track on this right now. Right now they are saying that it is moving about 25 miles an hour to the east. So if we input all of that information, it does look like by 7:53, this cell would impact Stewart if they do continue to keep this and extend that warning out further to the east. 7:56 impacting Port Salerno, which again is not currently included in that warning box. But if the warning continues, they would likely extend it closer to the coastline. So you are, if you are encapsulated in that red box right now on your screen, that is where you should take cover. Generally throughout this area, I would highly advise anyone to take cover because there are really, really heavy downpours, frequent lightning. So this is probably a great chance for you to take cover. So Palm City is another area that is included in this warning. We are going to see this warning in effect for the next about 30 minutes, 26 minutes to be exact. And then we are on reflectivity seeing a little bit of a hook echo signature. It's not super strong just because we are, all of that area is receiving rain, so it's not, you know, what we would typically look for. However, the National Weather Service of Melbourne determined that with the rotation that they're seeing on velocity, that it's enough to warrant a warning. So again, tornado warning in effect for northern Martin County, southern St. Lucie County. I'll zoom out a little bit to give you a better picture of what this looks like. Port St. Lucie, River Park, Palm City are all major cities that are included within this warning. This is your time to take cover, get away from windows and doors. If you don't have a way to get away from windows and doors, put something heavy above you like a mattress. Also, if you have any helmets indoors that you can grab right now, maybe put that on. This is a radar indicated warning, meaning that the National Weather Service forecasters in Melbourne saw that there's potentially rotation within this cell on radar. And then as it is tracking further to the east, we are likely to see potentially lots of wind gusts. So there are definitely strong winds embedded within this cell, even if it's not necessarily an active tornado. We are going to, this warning will extend until 8 a.m. It includes Martin, St. Lucie counties. We are also, the cities included in are Palm City, Port St. Lucie, and also River Park. So just keep in mind, this is your time to stay away from windows and doors. This is your time to get away from any debris. Go inside if you're outside for any reason. And this warning will be in effect until 8 a.m. So just, sit tight in your safe place, sit tight, and then be just super, super cautious if you are past that warning. As the storm tracks further to the east away from that coastline. So again, to give you a bigger picture of radar right now, this is what we're tracking. It's a large area of showers and storms moving over from the west coast, but there is a tornado warning in effect for Martin and St. Lucie counties until 8 a.m., including Palm City, Port St. Lucie, and River Park. Seeing a little bit of rotation on our storm relative velocity, which is essentially giving us an idea of what exactly is happening with the wind. We have wind going towards and away from the radar. I'm going to pull up that velocity imagery again here. So when we're looking at storm relative velocity, again, generally we look for that couplet. So where green meets red, the common saying is where green meets red, get under the bed. Because generally that's, again, when you see those two colors right next to one another, you are likely to see at least some type of rotation, whether that be from just some type of wind situation, a strong wind shift over a short amount of distance, but more likely that is generally circulation that we get when we're looking for a tornado warning. It's not the most strong couplet. This would likely be, if anything, an EF0 or an EF1 tornado. But again, this is only radar indicated. So just treat it as if it's a normal tornado warning. Treat every tornado warning as if it's the real thing, because as just a reminder, we're working with the best equipment that we have. We have radar equipment that is super, super high tech. So when they see this, generally we get a very good idea of what's going on the ground. So again, we are in a tornado warning for northern Martin County and southern St. Lucie County. That tornado warning is going to be in effect until 8 a.m. And if you see me looking off to the side, I just want to make sure that this gets pushed out to our online sources as well. So we're making sure that everyone has the information. We're going to stick with you until this tornado warning expires, which is at 8 a.m. If they cancel it before that point, I will also let you know. I'm going to check to see what the National Weather Service, yes, so it does say that they are, the storm right now is paralleling the southwestern Martin Highway, will approach I-95 in the next 10 minutes or so, and that was sent just a few minutes ago. They said that the rotation does extend higher in the atmosphere, so we're not only looking for that rotation at the lowest level, because again, sometimes we can get those signatures on radar at the lowest level just as a result of any type of thunderstorm movement. Sometimes, especially with these smaller mesocyclones, they go through rotation cycles, but if it extends higher up in the atmosphere, that's how we can get a better idea as forecasters of what is going on, what that picture exactly looks like on radar right now. So again, there is a tornado warning in effect for northern Martin and southern St. Lucie County, including Palm City, Port St. Lucie, and River Park. You're looking at velocity imagery, which is a measure of wind speed and direction. So I'm going to take a quick measurement of what exactly those wind speeds look like. And when we pause it at the end of this radar's loop, we can get an idea of those wind speeds, which at their peak right now, about 71 miles an hour, which, you know, it's a very strong wind gust, but also you have to think this is a little bit above the surface, so not necessarily what we would be experiencing at the surface. So this is radar indicated. Let me check on the correlation coefficient really quickly, because that can often tell us if there's any type of debris being lofted. So what you're looking at, velocity, correlation coefficient, not really seeing much of anything here. The biggest thing that we look for is that velocity and the reflectivity. Reflectivity imagery isn't giving us the best picture of a hook echo signature, which is what forecasters look for on radar when they're looking at tornado warnings. This warning is in effect until 8 a.m., so we still have about 19 minutes left in this warning. It includes Martin, northern Martin, and southern St. Lucie County, again, Palm City, Port St. Lucie, and River Park. So I'm going to pull up that storm relative velocity again, and then throw a track on this to see exactly where it's heading. Again, it's heading to the east at 25 miles an hour. So if this warning box were extended towards the coastline, which as of now it has not been, it would impact Palm City by 8:03, by 8:07 impacting Stewart, by 8:12 Port Salerno, and by 8:18 Seminole Shores. Now, the National Weather Service did draw the box a little bit further north as well. So, you know, if you're in the area a little bit further north, I don't want to say you're in the all clear yet, because the cell is a little bit bigger, so identifying the exact point of rotation is a little bit hard, but keep in mind, especially as we're looking in Martin County is kind of at an awkward point in between the Melbourne radar and the Miami radar. It's definitely way out of the Miami radar's range, but it's also quite far away from that Melbourne radar. So the closest radar would actually be the Palm Beach radar, which is actually out right now. So what we're looking at is that warning box. The little track that I've drawn off to the side is not where the warning box is, but rather it is where we will see the storm track as it moves closer to the coastline. We've seen a good bit of lightning associated with this cell as well as it moves towards the coastline. Let's just check on how many, or that's not the right thing, but you know, when we look up in the atmosphere, yeah, this is a good bit up. We're seeing this storm about 20,000 feet up. And so that's pretty high. And then when we pull up and try and get a picture of what that looks like on our velocity imagery, we can maybe see what that looks like on the rotation side of things. Because again, reflectivity just shows us, you know, as the radar beam sends out, you know, it sends out that electromagnetic force, and it comes back, depending on the size that it hits, that's what they're kind of watching. Okay, the National Weather Service of Melbourne said in our chat, tornado warning will remain in effect until 8 a.m. Rotation is still evident on radar, a little bit weaker at the moment. It's now approaching mile marker 109 to 107 on 95. So if you know where that is on 95, there are actually still some bent down light poles from the Milton tornadoes associated with this. So again, this is reflectivity, so that they are saying that this warning will likely stay in on until we get to that 8 a.m. mark, which is fine. We'll stick with you until the end of that. So, yep, 3D volume, and then when we pop on velocity, okay, yeah, seeing a little bit of rotation. He mentioned that it is weakening, and it's kind of hard to see on this box. I wish I had like a bigger way to show you the volume, but you can see a little bit of that rotation going up, I would say about 15,000 feet. So it's a relatively strong cell for sure. Again, you know, if they find any sort of confirmation that there was debris or anything of sorts, which of course, if you have any sort of thing of that nature, please send it into our newsroom. I have no idea what I just turned on this radar. Okay, well, it's gone now. So this is, again, a look at your reflectivity imagery, which is the intensity or size of the raindrops that we see on radar. It is showing that red warning box that encapsulates just east of Beeline Highway all the way up just west of US 1. I'm going to zoom in again just to show you some of these areas that are likely to be impacted over the next few minutes. Again, we're seeing really heavy downpours. Right around Becker Road. Southwest Canner Highway is not experiencing the heaviest of downpours yet, but it's on the way. Port St. Lucie getting light to moderate rainfall. We're seeing that very heavy rain along that 95 corridor, and that's where they're identifying that rotation exactly between that mile marker 109 to 107, right north of that kind of Big Bend area, but eventually that bend in Martin County will get those heavier downpours. Southwest Palm City is right outside of that polygon that they drew. So just keep in mind, you're likely to see heavy downpours, but the actual rotation is just to your north. And then when we look up closer to St. Lucie, so in St. Lucie County, again, they're on kind of the northern edge of this polygon. So they're saying it's moving right now to the east. So if it stays moving due east, then it looks like Martin County should be okay. But they did draw it a little bit up into St. Lucie County as well, because, you know, of course, it's very hard to identify, especially when things are this rain wrapped, where exactly the location of this specific rotation in the cell that they're watching is. So just keep in mind, if you receive that alert on your phone or you see that you are within this red box right now on your screen, that is where we have the tornado warning in effect for. It is in effect until 8 o'clock, and we will stay with you until the end of it. So Martin, St. Lucie counties, Palm City, Port St. Lucie, and River Park are the areas that are going to see the main impact from this cell. Again, it's a radar indicated rotation, which I'll pop up again here. So when we're looking at storm relative velocity, oh man, I don't know how to take off the 3D thing. It's okay. So when we take off that storm relative velocity picture, we can see that rotation has definitely weakened even since the last time that we checked. Oh, there we go. So when we take off, yeah, so the rotation pretty much is not really showing up anymore. A little bit of it was there when we last checked, but even over the last 3 minutes or so, we've definitely seen that rotation kind of start to fizzle out. It does look like it probably was just a little bit of a heavy wind gust that may have been rotating with the storm. They are keeping it in the tornado warning in effect for southern St. Lucie County and central Martin counties. We are, so that doesn't mean that they changed the polygon at all. It just means that they're officially going to keep it in effect and through 8 a.m. But like I mentioned, that rotation has significantly weakened the further east that the cell has gotten, and it does look like it's kind of getting lost a little bit in the kind of area that it's in, with those heavy downpours and then the strong wind gusts as well that we expect during this type of thunderstorm. Again, I'm going to repeat this once. I'll repeat it as long as I have to. There's a tornado warning in effect for Martin, St. Lucie County. It does look like they trimmed off a little bit of the edge of that polygon, so that's why it has changed. Biggest cities that will be impacted, Palm City. So I'm going to put another track on this cell to again show you where this cell is likely to head if it continues making its way to the east. So it likely hit impact Stewart around 809, Palm City around 804. That will be the next area that, you know, we'll likely see the heavy downpours, the strong wind gusts associated with the cell, and if it is a tornado, potentially that rotation as well. And then Sewell's Point by 8:15, 8:19 Seminole Shores, and this is a tornado warning, so treat it as if it is a tornado on the ground. Get away from windows and doors, get to the interior part of your homes. Make sure if you are not able to get away from windows, that you have something heavy over your head, like maybe go into a bathtub of sorts, and then if you have any sort of helmet or anything that you can put on to protect your head, that is also a great option to protect yourself. So What we're watching right now is this one cell as it makes its way further to the east, so closer to our coastline. It's right now along that 95 corridor, quickly tracking to the east. We are going to see this eastward trajectory in all of the storms today. This is as a result of a frontal boundary that has stalled out to our south. We are seeing frequent lightning within this cell as well. It does look like the cell itself is staying relatively strong as it makes its way further to the east. If anything, it's actually probably strengthened over the past few hours. To zoom out and give you a picture of what we're looking at across the rest of the area, we are also seeing one severe thunderstorm warning that just gets cut off barely outside of Okeechobee County. It has some strong rain signatures and also some hail signatures there, potentially lots of lightning as well. These are all storms that are making their way to the east relatively quickly, about, they said, 25 miles an hour to the east. So not necessarily super fast. Generally, when we see severe thunderstorm warnings, or severe thunderstorms, period, they move very quickly. 25 miles an hour, I would say, is a relatively slow moving one, but it's still moving. We are going to see this tornado warning for northern and central part of Martin County until 8 a.m. And then it does include that southern corner of St. Lucie County right before the northern part of Martin County kind of juts up north. But if this cell continues tracking the way that it is, it's likely that St. Lucie County will miss out on this rotation if there's any present on the ground. This is a radar indicated tornado warning, which means that the radar operators at the National Weather Service in Melbourne determined that with the rotation that they were seeing via the storm relative velocity, the velocity imagery on radar, which gives an idea of where wind is moving towards and away from the radar, they look for that couplet where red and green is right next to each other. And then if they determine that that meets that criteria for a tornado warning, they have the ability to issue one, but this is not one that has been visually confirmed. And again, this is not your chance to visually confirm it. Stay inside if you are in that tornado warning. You wouldn't be able to see it anyway because it's a rain-wrapped situation. So if there were a tornado, it would be surrounded by rain, so it'd be really hard to see. It's moving right now over that 95 corridor. I'll check again to see what the rotation looks like, if any, on radar. So again, a reminder, Martin County is kind of at that position between the Melbourne and the Miami radars where, when the radar is actually sending out the beam, it sends it out on a horizontal line. But as with the Earth's curvature, the further you get away from that radar site, the higher that beam is going to go in the air relative to the surface. So just keep in mind that, this is scanning a little bit higher in the atmosphere as compared to if it were right next to one of those radars in the northern part of the Treasure Coast, or in the even Palm Beach County is pretty far away from that radar site in Miami, but we have the smaller radar at Palm Beach International. So again, correlation coefficient not showing anything. That's pretty expected, especially even if we did get a brief spin up. Chances are that it wouldn't loft or lift much debris in the air. We're likely just seeing a little bit of rotation. Again, velocity imagery isn't really showing much of anything anymore, so I'm expecting that when in 7 minutes this warning expires, they'll probably expire, or when this warning expires, I don't think that they will extend it. It is possible that they do if they determine that there's any risk towards Stewart or the Barrier Islands, but the warning does cut off just to the west of US 1. It does cut off east of the turnpike. So when we're looking at this on radar, this is the turnpike that you're seeing. We also see Becker Road here, Martin Highway. It's kind of, they said it's tracking exactly kind of along Martin Highway as it moves to the east. Canner Highway, it kind of cuts it off a little bit. Port Salerno is outside of that warning. Southwest Palm City is just outside of the warning box, but Palm City is technically contained within this warning. It's right at that edge. So keep in mind, if you are in any of these areas that I just mentioned, Palm City, Sewell's Point, Stewart, Jensen Beach, Seminole Shores, Port Salerno, this is not your time to, say that you have the all clear. It's still, you're seeing frequent lightning. You want to stay inside for sure. But if you are in the warning box itself, you know, this is a tornado warning for you. Treat it as if there's a tornado on the ground. Stay away from those windows indoors. I again would expect that this warning expires at 8 o'clock. We have about 6 minutes left in the warning, and I will stay with you through the end of that warning. Keep in mind with this warning that we are seeing right now, frequent lightning strikes, quite heavy downpours that we're looking at on radar. When I pull up that reflectivity, which is again a measure of that rain intensity, or at least the size that the radar is getting back in terms of its feedback, what's reflected back to the radar. Very, very heavy downpours. I'll pull up those rain rates right now. Oh, it looks like we're getting another thing from the National Weather Service, or maybe that's just that they extended the warning, or they cut off that box. So let's pull up what we're looking at in terms of those heaviest downpours right now. So when we pause the radar at its most recent scan, rain is falling at about just under 3 inches an hour. So keep in mind with this, that rate of rain, you know, it's going to sound really heavy rain outside as expected. So when we advance this radar in time and we just loop it over the past 30 minutes, we can see that hook echo signature, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a hook end. It kind of curves around. That's not really apparent on radar when we look at our reflectivity imagery. And we did just get a new warning from the National Weather Service. We're not seeing a new tornado warning, though. It's now a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is for, oh my goodness, it's not popping up yet. Okay, so it includes the southern corner of Okeechobee County, it includes the southwestern corner of St. Lucie County, and the northeastern corner of Palm Beach County. It's because of this cell right here that you're seeing on radar. Yeah, lots of rain, lots of lightning within that cell. The main reason they issued this is because of the strong wind gusts associated with it and the potential for hail. So within this cell, there's 60-mile-an-hour winds, which are radar estimated, and also about quarter-size hail. So let's move back to this tornado warning here. Again, this is what we were expecting. We were under a marginal severe weather risk for the day today. You know, with that and with these storms moving quite quickly across our area, we are going to see that chance remain elevated. I would say through the early afternoon, and that's when we'll start to see those rain chances and that thunderstorm risk really come down. So zooming out and giving you a look across the region, we're seeing some of these cells popping up in northern Palm Beach County as well. But that tornado warning specifically is in effect for Martin in St. Lucie County. The only city that is still included in that is Palm City. They are going to cancel that tornado warning, so we don't need to worry about that tornado warning. I'll just give you that one update on the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this warning will be in effect for, will you pop up please? I'm talking to the radar, not anyone behind the scenes. So for this inland Martin County and Okeechobee County, there we go. Nope, that's the wrong one. That severe thunderstorm warning, it doesn't want to populate because the tornado warning takes precedent, even though the warning will expire at 8 a.m., which is 2 minutes left. So for the severe thunderstorm warning, that one will expire at 8:45. Yeah, it's moving pretty quick. They say it's moving east at about 25 miles an hour. So again, that tornado warning has officially expired, so no need to worry about that. Obviously, stay weather aware. We'll keep you updated on air and online if anything changes, and we'll be right back.